rise and grind, folks. Guys, I am on the way to an existing maintenance customer for heat maintenance. I believe this customer has an air handler and heat pump, and as you see here, we came out here about a year ago. This customer said that the outside unit was tripping the breaker, and we came out there to find a compressor short of the ground, and soon after we got a brand new compressor installed, brand new filter dryer. This was in the snow last winter, and ever since then everything's been rocking and rolling. I believe we even came back out here in the spring for the AC and everything was copacetic. But guys, I am almost here now. Let's go take a look. I'll see y'all when I get inside. All right, guys. All right, guys, I just checked my filter inside. I already know my electric heat is running. The filter is clean, but we just came out here this past spring. AC levels, everything checked out fine. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at the condenser coils. This past spring, the coils didn't look too bad, but what I'm gonna do first, guys, let me open up the panel and let's check the electrical component area. I'll be back. Guys, this is an Evcon 14 SEER heat pump, R410A. And this heat pump is under 10 years old for sure. But guys, on top of replacing the compressor and the filter dryer inside, we replaced the cap and we installed the hard start kit. Now guys, hard start kits, typically if the unit doesn't already have one, it's recommended to install hard start kits on compressors past 5 years old. Hard start kits help with start assist, especially guys as compressors age. Lock rotor amps could go up and eventually this could cause issues with the compressor starting. Hard start kits here allows for smooth start assist, so this lowers the chances of the compressor drawing excessive current on startup and eventually tripping the breakers. Make sense? All right, guys, what I'm gonna do, it doesn't look too bad, but I'm gonna clean the webbing that I could see inside here. I'm gonna clean this out, and after that we're gonna check for amps. I'll be right back, guys. Guys, we cleaned the electrical component area, and right now I'm checking amps. 0.60 on my fan and 3.95, 3.9 on my compressor. Now, just to give you guys the quick backstory, we came out here at least 3 or 4 years ago in a row for heat and AC maintenances. Nothing ever got replaced. However, about 2 years ago, I believe this had to be in the summertime, we recommended replacing the capacitor. I think the capacitor was a 40-5 and the compressor side was at like a 20, but the compressor was still running. So guys, about 2 years ago, we brought this up to the customer's attention, and at that time the customer didn't want to do it. But unfortunately, guys, we explained to the customer what will happen if the numbers on the capacitor continue to drop, and that's exactly what happened, and that caused this compressor to trip the breakers. Like you guys see in this video, you can see what we found and what was going on here about a year ago. But guys, to each his own. Like I said, I always mention this, guys, it's your job to avoid breakdowns and explain to customers what could happen. But guys, sometimes if the customer doesn't have it in their budget to get it done, the goal is not for the customer to replace everything you say. The goal is for the customer to know what can happen. Guys, I was cool with the customer knowing what can happen with this capacitor. If she didn't have it in her budget or whatever the case is, guys, that's okay. But the fact that she knows about it, so now if something breaks, guys, they're not thinking worst case scenario. So, but guys, this customer is a cautionary tale of what could happen if you allow parts to accumulate wear and tear and not get the parts replaced in time. That could snowball into a bigger issue. And then now, example capacitor, if the numbers continue to go down, the unit will still work, but eventually it's going to put a strain on your motors. Example, the compressor, and once this compressor starts to trip the breaker, there's nothing you can do besides replacing the compressor. And most importantly, you're going to be at the inconvenience of when this happens. It's going to be the coldest day of the year, and now your backup heat example, electric heat inside is going to raise your energy bill. So, but guys, like I said, there's nothing wrong with explaining this up front. Like I said, I don't know a customer that can't benefit from knowing what could happen before it happens. That's all part of the job. It costs the customer nothing for you to explain to them the goods and the bads of getting things done versus what can happen down the line. So, but guys, since this capacitor is new, I think we checked this capacitor out this past spring and it was still within range. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the back side of that condenser coil. And guys, another thing you didn't see me do here, I'm not going to throw my gauges on since I already have a good temperature split inside and my suction line is warm. Guys, you heard me say this a lot on previous videos. The only time I would throw my gauges on a heat pump or a condenser is if I had a probable cause, meaning if I was on the AC maintenance and I didn't have a 20-degree split inside, or if I suspect this unit out here was short cycling on low pressure. If that was the case, that will be enough probable cause for me to throw my gauges on, for me to make sure that this unit isn't flat on refrigerant. Now guys, I actually explained this to a customer yesterday that had a heat pump. With these heat pumps, guys, I don't care what brand, what efficiency it is, you always want to make sure you get this heat pump checked in the summertime. I repeat, make sure you explain to the customers it's important to get heat pumps checked in the summertime, because 100% guys, if a customer has issues with a heat pump in the summer, ultimately it's going to lead to issues with the heat pump heating in the winter. I repeat, issues with a heat pump in the summer always correlates to issues with a heat pump in the winter. So I'm not saying it's not important to get a heat pump checked in the winter, but often guys, issues in the winter can be rectified even before the winter by having this unit checked, getting the refrigerant levels checked out, make sure the amps are okay. All this can be preventatively checked out in the spring before the weather breaks. So guys, it's important for customers to know that preventative maintenance in the summertime will always give a customer a head start before the weather breaks, before they need this heat pump to work in the winter. So hope you guys understand that. But guys, what I'm going to do now is I got to put the doors back on. I already got my amps checked out. I got to check the back side of this coil, but let me put the doors on. I'll be right back. All right, guys. Coils don't look too bad. And once again, this is something that we looked at this past spring. This customer do have a hose spigot right next to the unit. But this past spring, we didn't need to hose it down. Typically, if we had to hose a heat pump down, I'd rather do it in the spring during the warmer weather. Cold water hitting this coil now, I definitely don't want to damage the condenser coil. But like I said, guys, think about it. If I had a reason to hose the condenser coil now, that would definitely mean that this customer had previous issues in the summer. But once again, you want to get the issues rectified with heat pumps in the summer before the weather gets cold. But that's all there is to it, guys. I got to go back inside because it's already up to 78 inside with the thermostat. I think my electric heat has been running ever since I killed the disconnect. But yeah, guys, there you have it. 14 series Evcon heat pump. Everything's rocking and rolling. I got to get to the next stop. I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.